This Festool MFT table gets a lot of use in my shop. Incorporate these Festool clamps and also these more like a horizontal surface clamp. This is a big table. It's 46, 47 inches by 30. It's about 62 pounds. It's about 10 pounds less than half my weight. So for me, this thing is kind of big to move around my shop. So when I'm not using this table, I need to store it somewhere. Well, the other day I was working in my shop cleaning it up, and I decided I was going to do something to resolve this issue for the shorter people like me to handle this table. If I'm going to use this outside my house somewhere, if I've got to put in my pickup, I want an easy way of getting it to where I'm going, getting it in my pickup from my backyard up to my front, or just down the street. Wherever I'm going to go, I just wanted to make it more maneuverable. Here's what I built. This is just maple. It's a foot long, 3 1/4 inches wide, 3/4 thick. This block here is 6 inches long. It's 3 3/8 tall, and then I cut a 6-degree bevel on it. I've got these T-screws, and then I've beveled these edges on them, and I'll explain why later. And then I recess these holes, and then I have these wheels that I had laying around from a Craftsman miter saw stand, and I made 2 of these, and now I'm going to show you how I use them. Here we go. They're labeled left and right, and I'll show you how fast you can put these on. So I put these on the inside legs. You can see where the knobs are. There's the outside legs, the knobs would be further out. So I put these on the inside. These tabs here, these T-screws go in here, and those pieces that I sanded off will help it grip inside this channel better. So all I do is I make them in the narrow part of the T. I adjust the wheel gap, like so. And on this side I do the same thing. I get my T lined up so it fits in real easy. There's a maple guide rail in there, and I tighten them down, and that's all I do to put them on. If I were taking them off, it takes about 10 seconds, slides right out. Okay, so I'm going to leave them on. Again, I position the wheels so they clear the sides. So I have them on the wheels now, and you can see that's what those long pieces are for, the 6-degree angle. So the table is actually leaning in that direction, okay, in that direction, and it's stable. You can push on it a little bit, doesn't move. If you wanted to be able to push on it quite a bit, you could just extend these pieces here, I'd say an inch or 2 more, and you'd be fine. But the cool thing now is if I want to move this around my shop, just grab it here, bring it down, and I can move it anywhere in my shop. No problem at all. It's kind of cool. Again, now I'll just stand it up. I can bump into it a little. Nothing happens. Now that I have positioned correctly, what I do is I put my foot down in the front, grab these, bring it down, and I lock in the legs down at this end. So that channel right there, the T-screw goes in there. You should be able to see that. I've sanded off the rounded edge there and there, so when this goes in, it has more surface to lock into that channel's upper or back side of the upper face. Then I have this kind of like a guide rail, you could call it, maple piece strip on there glued, and that slides into the channel just to keep everything aligned, so you're not trying to, you get one T-screw started and then you're trying to find the other one, it's banging around trying to find a spot. That just makes it a little easier. I also like it for the fact that when you put the wheel on and say you're rolling it, okay, this movement here, this direction, can't twist it any. You know, you've got it clamped with the 2 screws, right? Got those 2 thumb wheels clamped down so it's flush on there. But that guide rail inside there just keeps everything even a little bit more stable or secure. I have my pieces cut. I've marked 1 board left, 1 board right. These are the wheels that I have. I've had these laying around my shop. Because they're angled, the mounting, I know that I'm going to want the wheel, alright, for the drilling of the holes, but I want to make sure I've got this straight and then a little bit of play right there. So about right there, and then bring it up and then again make sure they're straight. This channel, and this is where you're going to put a T type of tool, threaded piece in, and then the knobs will go up here. So what I do is I set this board. I'm going to figure out where I want it. I'm thinking I might add a little area here, a strip of wood right along here to help it this movement, and also inside here, so it'll be a really well fixed piece so no twisting can occur. And I'll basically lock it in since I'm going to just slide this on when I do it. So I'm going to make a few measurements. You know, I got to drill 2 holes for the 2 knobs, and then also I probably will just center this, and that's how I'll mark it up. I finished cutting out the holes. Okay, the left side, what I did here is I recessed the holes. So when I put these in, it'll get pulled down and it'll be below the surface. Is what will happen is I'll mount the wheel to it. And now that these holes are drilled, as you can see, there they are, and I have that recess there, so when I put this on the table, I'll be able to have it very close to the edge, so the wheels aren't sticking out too far and running into things. Next thing I'll do is I'm going to measure what I mentioned before. I'm going to measure for these 2 spots. These 2 spots. For a little maple strip that goes on each side, just to keep this from twisting around. I finished milling that wood strip I mentioned, and I decided just to go with the one that's going to ride in this channel. As you can see, the wood is below the surface of the aluminum here, and that is the reason I did that is when I glue this to the board that goes here, that bottom of the strip will be raised above the bottom of the channel. This is the bottom side of the board, and I've marked a spot 4 1/4 inches from the left end, 2 3/4 from the right end, and 1 7/16 from the bottom. So when this goes in, it'll line up just like that. Here's a little bit of a demo of the board. Okay, so I've got the recessed holes under here. I drilled the 2 holes for those wheels. So you got those T screws on there. I guess that's what you call them. And those will slide right into this channel. You just tighten down these screws, and now the board is fixed on. I mentioned earlier about adding a wood strip in here that's going to be glued to this piece, just to keep this from twisting. With these thumb wheels, it's really sufficient in that motion, but what I found kind of interesting is if I cut a strip and I put it between those 2 T screws, you can see it keeps those T's straight, and I'm never fiddling to try to get them aligned right. So I'm going to try this out. If it works, I'm going to just put it in, just double tape it down, and if it feels good, if it works, I'm going to glue that down. What I found out was these T's are wider than the channel. These are the T screws, I guess they call them, that are going to fit in that channel. They're almost as wide as a channel, and when you tighten down, it'll turn a little bit. In order to give it a little bit more surface area to push against the aluminum channel, what I've done is I'm changing the edge. Let's see if I can see how I flatten those out. So when this goes in, it'll give more bite, more area for the aluminum channel and this to lock together. Well, I kept deliberating on whether I was going to put this strip down. I did put one down, it's glued in, then I put a little glue on each side of the seam. What I did is I left a gap on each side so these elongated T screws won't ever touch it. I just like the idea of this, maybe even just help me guide it in. And again, the other change has been I put a flat spot, so when it locks down, it has more surface area to lock down on the channel. Alright, check that out. That is the wheel with the little strip underneath, the T-nuts, T-screws that are beveled to have a better fit in this channel. It goes on real easy, and now I'm going to do the second piece of this project. So I added these blocks to my mobile cart accessory. It's 6-inch long block by 3 3/8 tall. It's 1.5 inches wide. I've got 2 screws coming up into it, and it's glued. And what I did is from this point on, this is about 1.25 inches or so. From the end, this is a flat spot. I put a 6-degree bevel on there. And the same thing for here. You can see how they are. So I'm going to do this all with one hand. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to take them off. Just like that. And I'm putting it on with one hand also. So I set my distance. Crank it down. It's all set. Alright, I'm going to give you a quick demo on how I set this table up now. So, this table, I tilt it at this angle and I can roll it anywhere I want in my shop. Really good. The other nice thing is, say I want to put it up against a wall, or I pull it out of my truck and I want to put it on the ground for a minute. Well, I put it like that, and I made sure that the table on this side, with the top being so top heavy, lean that direction. So now I can push on a little and move around. I bought this online for the knobs and the T screws.